Good morning. How are you, Joni? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started since it's 10 o'clock and this is a longer class, so I don't want to take up everybody's time. I'll let Barbara log in. Okay. We'll get her audio connected first. There we go. My name is Rachel Vaughn. I am a Market Center Tech Trainer for KW Capital Partners and KW Excel in Worthington and Westerville, Ohio. So hopefully this is helpful for you. If you have any questions at all during the class, let me know, interrupt me. I have no problem with that. That way I can help you right in that area. So you can drop them in the chat or just yell at me, whatever works best for you. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and I think we're screen 2 today. Okay, can everybody see, they see my email or my command? Anybody? I think I'm on the wrong screen. Let me stop share again. This says screen 2, okay. We're gonna go with it. Hopefully, if you can't see my command, let me know, please. I don't want to waste this whole time and you be looking at something else. Okay, so I like to start off every training by letting you know that command works best in Google Chrome. It will work in Safari or Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, but it can be glitchy. So your safest bet is to work in Google Chrome. The reason for that is we are partnered with Google, meaning that our platform is built to function best and correctly in Google. So if you're not using Google Chrome, you need it. Second of all, I tell everybody up here in the top left corner, as you're learning command or might need some few tips or tricks to learn command, this KW here in the corner, if you click on that, it will expand that toolbar so you can see what each application means. Click on it again and it will go back in. So just a quick little tip. So today we're going to focus on opportunities. And if you are like, I believe the majority of maybe of the Ohio Valley region market centers, you use opportunities to get paid. So this is where your commission and compliance runs. If you still use green sheets, this is going to be somewhat informative, not really, but if you get paid through command or you have to submit your documents or your compliance and commission in command according to your market center, then this is going to be super helpful for you. So a couple of things you need to have completed before you can create an opportunity, and that is to have your contact or your client in your contacts. So if push comes to shove, you're in a rush, the only thing that's required is their name, but you're going to want their phone number and their email address, all of that. Specifically their email address, because this will take you into Docusign. So make sure you have your client in your contacts first, and then you would go to opportunities. And when you click on opportunities, which is the little handshake, you are going to see a few different things here on your screen. So these are called pipelines. So you have a listings pipeline, you have a buyer's pipeline, and then you have like a leases pipeline. And then as you scroll down more, you're going to see the ratios of your opportunities. How much are listings, how much are buyers, how much are lease. You're going to see your activity. This is all tracking for business purposes. These fall under your reports. So this is going to tell you how many opportunities you have created in that month. So it looks like October was a low month for me of last year. So I should probably strategize how I'm going to raise that up for my business to either keep me on track or, keep me at my goals. So, and then down here at the bottom, it's going to show you the closings for this month. So coming back to the top here, explaining the pipeline a little more because it can be confusing to look at, especially if you don't know what it is. So there's a different phases of each So there's a phase. These are considered phases: cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, closed. And then there are stages within each phase, which I will show you in a moment. So to me, I'm not a realtor, but in my brain, how it works, cultivate, to me, is somebody who you've talked to, maybe you caught in the grocery store or at a family barbecue or a friend's house or something like that, that they've said, hey, you know, I think I may want to buy or sell. You know, somebody who hasn't given you like, I'm ready to sign papers, let's do this. Somebody who's maybe talked about it, or you could literally put everybody in there if you wanted to. But cultivate, to me, that is what cultivate means. So when you put people into the cultivate stage, it will start creating this potential and probable GCI, which is growth commission income. And then appointment, to me, is you've had a serious talk, you're signing, you know, agency, that kind of stuff, the typical paperwork, the anti-fraud, the consumer guide, that kind of stuff. Active is they're actively listed, you've actively listed their home, or you're actively looking for homes if it's your client is a buyer. Under contract is pretty straightforward once you're under contract. And closed, meaning you guys have closed. So as the idea, and it makes the most sense, is that you create these opportunities when they're in the cultivate or appointment stage, no later than the active stage. That way you can move your opportunity along as making it as realistic as possible for your goals and business wise. Because if you put everybody in cultivate and you never move them, your probable GCI is gonna always look terrible. So this is just kind of like your little cheerleader or your little inspiration. Like, I'm leaving potentially $100,000 on the table right now because I am not nurturing these people in the cultivate stage to get them to list their house or to get them to sell or buy a house. So that is kind of the purpose of the pipeline. And if you click on the circles, that's where it's going to take you into that phase and then show you the stages. So in the cultivate, there is watch, nurture, hot. And again, the stages are not as important as the phases. So feel free, if you want to leave them in watch until you're ready to move them down the pipeline. Don't feel like you have to use this portion of it. However, if you are really into tracking and knowing your numbers and really capturing that data, it's going to be beneficial for you to do that. So on and so forth, there are different phases. So I'm going to go back to my pipeline. So when I'm ready to create an opportunity, I'm just going to come up here and click create opportunity. And this screen is going to pop up. You will notice there are red asterisks in certain places, and then there are some that are not. So anything with the red asterisk or the red star, it is required, meaning you have to fill in that information. And again, if you have any questions at all through any of this, let me know. So up here, you're going to want to make sure you have your market center. If you only belong to one KW market center, then it'll be there by default. If you happen to belong to 2 market centers, you will be able to choose between the 2. So make sure you have your right market center. If you are on a team, your team name would most likely pop up here. And then opportunity type, make sure that you select the right opportunity type. So by default, it will go to listing. And also once these are created, you cannot change the opportunity type. So make sure you check this one to make sure it's correct. So you have listing, buyer, landlord, and tenant. I'm going to leave it at listing today. Owner, this is not the owner of the property or the owner of the future property. This is the owner of the opportunity, meaning it should be you, or if you're on a team, it is most likely your rainmaker or team leader. And then you add yourself down the line in the commission, so that way you still get paid. But the way the team command is set up, the team leader or rainmaker should be the owner of all of the opportunities. So if your name is not here and your team leader is, that is why. So I'm going to go down here to client. So this is where, again, it's important that you have to have your client's information in your contacts first. Otherwise, you will not be able to create an opportunity. So I'm going to go ahead and put in, I'm trying to remember. I made a fake one. That's okay. We'll go with Donald Duck. Donald Duck. And then co-seller. If you have a co-seller or a co-buyer, you can go ahead and add their name in here too. Again, they do need to be in your contacts first. So if I try to type in somebody's name who is not in here, I don't even know how to, and they just wouldn't pop up. They would say no options or anything like that. Another thing to note for if you're on a team, you need to make sure that those contacts are in your team contacts versus your personal command contacts, because it cannot see your personal command information. So if you're on a team and you have that person in your contacts and you're still not getting the information, like when you're typing in the name, it's not showing up, check to make sure it's in the right contacts. Make sure it's in team and not in your personal, because it can't read from one to the other. So you've got your clients in there, and then your opportunity name. A rule of thumb that my market center likes to use, which I think is smart and helpful for especially the MCAs of your office, is put the property address, the street or the house number and street name in the opportunity name. The reason behind this is because a lot of the time when we get earnest money or the commission check or any documents, if they would send them to us for some reason, in the mail, via email, somebody drops it off, the majority of the time it has the address on it and it doesn't have any buyer or seller information. So if we can go into the opportunities on the market center side and look for this address, then we can easily find it, let you know. Just the communication and the flow and the turnaround time for earnest money and commissions can get so much quicker if you have that address and the opportunity name. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. You can leave the client's name, you can get rid of it. I check with your MCA department on what they prefer, but that's just kind of how we've come to that decision, and it's worked well for us. So 123 Easy Street, I'm just going to make up a fake one. Down here you have custom tags. So if you want to group your opportunities based on a certain area, or if you get referrals from a specific person or company a lot and you want to be able to group those together, just for organization, just like in your contacts, you can do that for opportunities as well. So if I wanted to create a, I don't know, pool referrals. So if you want to create a custom tag, you just type in what you want the tag name to be. Obviously, if there isn't one, it's going to pop up and say create this tag, pool referrals. So I just click on it and then there it is. So from here on out, when I go to create an opportunity, that pool referrals tag is going to show up. So say this is anybody that, say I have a friend that works at the pool and that's how I, whatever makes sense for you to create tags for, or you don't have to create tags at all. It's up to you, totally up to you. Again, that kind of goes back to the tracking system of if you want to be able to see how many referrals you're getting from specific people or companies or whatever, that would be the way to do it. So then we have estimated close date. Again, this is optional. You don't have to put anything in there. Estimated listing price. Again, you don't have to put anything in there. Commission rate, that is required. So you are going to do only your commission rate. So even if you have the listing, you don't put the 6% in there. You put your commission rate only. Then we have the opportunity phase. Again, these pipeline phases, that's what we're looking at. So I'm going to click on it, and the only 3 options in this portion of the creating an opportunity is cultivate, appointment, and active. Because like I said, ideally this is when you should be creating opportunities, not when you've already closed and need to submit all your documents. You should be creating them ahead of time. That way you can do it in stages and everything should be kosher that way. So say we've already had an appointment And then the stage, again, this is not as important as the phase, but if you really want to track, then it's up to you. So we'll just say kept, click create. And then we have now created an opportunity, and here is our details tab of our opportunity. Are there any questions so far? Awesome. All right. Again, if you have any questions, put it in the chat or just yell at me. I'm perfectly fine with either. So now we have a few different tabs on our opportunity. So the first one by default, you'll go to details. You'll notice up here, this is the opportunity name. Here are your sellers. And then you have the select from listing button. So because this is a listing, I'm going to choose select from listings. What this does is pull up the KWLS and allows us to choose our property. So when you click on this, this should not look like this. So because I'm not an agent, I don't have any listings. This should pull up all of your listings. If you see here, it says only my listings. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this to all listings just so I can grab one. If you pull this up and you don't see your listings, you need to let your Market Center tech trainer know, or your MCA, whoever takes care of that kind of stuff for you, because there may be something on the back end that is not connected properly. So what I did is I found my listing and I clicked select. By doing that, it automatically imported all of the property information, which I realize I'm not in PA, but I just grabbed one. And then when I scroll down here at the bottom, you will be able to see the commission rate. I think that would be gross. I don't know if that's after there are splits and stuff like that. The commission rate down here. So that automatically populates for you. Now you can go in, and if you ever want to add any information in the detail section, you can. You'll notice these little pencils in the top right corner of each box. There is one for each box. They're all separate. So you'll click on that to edit any of that information. And here, when I clicked on the general information edit pencil, this is where you can change to active or under contract if you would like. Or when you're in the phases portion, you can click and drag them as well. I'll show you that here in a minute. So I have all my details in here. Everything looks good. I'm going to go over to the Documents tab. We're going to skip over the seller profile. That's related to your app, and you can see if they're using it in completing the buyer or seller guide that you have in your app. Not really critical for getting you paid. So once you click on Documents, you will come over here to pick checklist type, or if you only have one checklist, it'll generate pop automatically. So pick checklist type. Your Market Center sets these up, so yours may not look identical to mine, but most of the time you're going to have at least a residential checklist. We have commercial, land, outgoing, listing, referral, and new build. So I'm going to choose residential because that's the majority of the time what your opportunity is going to be. And then you now have the compliance checklist right here. So you have 3 folders within your checklist. So you have the listed folder, which required these 4 documents. Again, I'm in Ohio, Central Ohio. We run under the Columbus board. So documents look a little different depending on where you're at. And then the checklist may look a little different depending on where you're at, just depending on your broker's preferences. So under my listed folder, we have their 4 required, and then we have all of these conditionally required documents, and we have the reason why they would be required. So for the exemption form, for exempt entities only. So if we did not need an RPD, we would fill out the exemption form and attach it here. But that would be conditionally required. Otherwise, we would need to fill it out. So as we go through, I'll show you here after we go through Docusign, you'll go through each one to be able to submit. So now that we have our checklist, we're going to click Start a Transaction. Now you need to be sure that your .loop or Docusign is connected to command first, before you click on this. Otherwise, it won't go anywhere. You do that up here in the settings. So make sure that's connected, and we're going to click Start a Transaction. If you have both .loop and Docusign connected to your command, if you use both or are in transition, it will ask you which one you want to use. So I'm just set up for Docusign. My Market Center only uses Docusign unless the agent pays for it themselves, for .loop themselves. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign into Docusign. And what that will do will create a room for me in Docusign, or a loop is the same thing as a room for .loop. So at this point, I would add my documents. So I just click Add. Before I do that, I want to note that any details that are in command in this opportunity will filter into the details of this Docusign room or .loop room. So if you notice, my seller 1 info is in here, my seller 2 info is in here, the house information is in here. For the most part, the county is not, and we'll have to fix the state, but the contract amount is in here. So if you need to add anything, you just hit Edit, add your necessary information. I'm just making up the county because I don't know what it is. I think it was in Pennsylvania. So any additional information you think you would need in here, as you scroll down, all of the personal people information, for terrible grammar, people information is on the right hand side. Anything related to the property is in the middle. So just so you know where to look. If you want to add the opposing side, I always use opposing side like it's a boxing match or something like that. But the buyer side or vice versa, the seller side, you can. To me, and this may sound snotty of me, but you don't get paid to prepare documents for the buyer if you're representing the seller. So I personally would not. So you just have your clients fill out the information, then you send it to the buyer's agent to complete. That's my opinion, but up to you how you want to do that. Maybe if you're good friends with the other realtor or you know the buyer, to each their own. I personally, rule of thumb, you don't get paid to do it. So it is what it is. So now that we have our details squared away, we're going to go to our documents and we're going to add our documents. Click Add, Docusign Forms. Should look a little bit similar if you have .loop, just a different format. I'm going to choose my listing packet. If you don't have a buyer or a listing packet, tell your Market Center to make you one. It will make your lives a lot easier. And if they have questions, they can email me or our regional tech director, Joshua Boatman. He would be glad to help as well. So my Market Center has listing packet made for me. This is generally forms that will need to be used. I'm just going to go ahead and put in my required forms, add selected. And then you will click on each form and fill them in. So you just click on it, wait for it to load. And then you would go through the form, fill in any information that you would need. For some reason, their names don't populate on these, so I'm just going to fill them in. But if that's the worst thing that happens, I feel like that's pretty minimal. If you notice, I can't put anything in the signature or date box, and that is because it's at a later stage. So if you are a .loop user, .loop user, I thought I said that backwards. It's all together. Well, a Docusign is separate. So right here, you're just pre-filling the forms. You're not doing any signature boxes, date boxes, none of that. So I'm going to hit Save and Close because that's all I needed to fill in. I'm going to fill in my exclusive right to represent seller. And if you put all that information in details, a lot of that information should populate in your forms for you. So not creating an opportunity in command first and just going straight to Docusign or straight to .loop is going to create a ton of extra work for you. One, you will have to put in all those detail information the seller's information, your information if it doesn't populate for you, the property information. Then when it comes to putting your documents back into Command, you're going to have to download them and then upload them into Command. And that's just a lot of extra work. So make sure you always create an opportunity in Command first, click Start a Transaction so that loop or room is connected to your opportunity in Command, which will make it easier for you to get those documents in for compliance. So I'm going to put the number, I don't remember what the house number was. So you'll just fill in all the information. I'm not going to take the time to fill it all in here. And then we've got everything in here. Everything looks good. Again, you're not going to deal with the signature. So I'm going to hit Save and Close. Now that I have my documents ready, I want my clients to sign them. So you can do one of two things. If you want to send them all, you can hit Select All. And if you notice, all three of these have been check marked. Or if you don't want to send them all, you only send one or two, you can just hover over the box. That little circle will pop up in the top left corner and you just click on that. And then I'm going to hit Select All though. And then you come up here to this little toolbar and you're going to go Create Envelope. Do not do email, do Create Envelope. Email does not let you do anything to them. It's just a PDF version. So Create Envelope. Sorry, I said wrong. Create Envelope. So we have our envelope name. This is only for you to see. So I'm just going to put in the names of the documents I'm sending. The purpose of naming your envelope and not leaving it as Please Docusign is if you need to go back to look at an envelope to see where somebody is at in the signing order or anything like that, it just makes it a little bit easier because you are going to have multiple envelopes. You should not be able to send every single document in one envelope because ideally you should be doing this in stages. So now that we have our name, we're going to confirm that these three documents are the documents we want. If we forgot one, we can go to Room Docs. If you want to use a template, you can choose there. Or if you wanted to upload an additional document, you can. Then I'm going to hit Add Recipient. And I'm going to choose Pre-tagged roles. You will always use pre-tagged roles. The purpose of that is because it will auto populate anywhere your client or whomever needs to sign, date or initial. If you don't, you'll be adding every single circle, checkbox, signature, date box, initial box, everything. So always use pre-tagged roles. It'll make your life a lot easier. So I'm going to choose Seller 1, Seller 2, and Listing Agent. As you see here, there is Buyer 1, Buyer 2. These roles will populate based on the forms you have. So as you can see here, it kind of cuts off. You can't really see all of them. But if this form that I chose, if I chose another form that required the broker to sign it or the buyer's agent to sign it, their name would pop up here, the role would pop up here, but only the roles in which that they can interact with these forms are going to populate at this time. So that's a good signal for you as well to know if you have everybody on there in every form you need or not. So I chose Seller 1, so I'm going to come over here to the drop down box and I'm going to choose Donald Duck. Then I have Seller 2. I'm going to choose Daisy Duck. And Listing Agent, I'm going to pretend I'm an agent and I'm going to choose myself. And then click Add Selected. And when it does that, you will see that all three of them are showing here. By default, everyone will need to sign. You do have the option of needs to view, receive the copy, or specify recipient. You can also, for more, you can add access authentication or add a private message if you'd like to. So if you want it to be super secure, you can take extra steps, or if you want to send that specific person a private message, you can do that as well. So over here on the left, you'll notice all three of these boxes say 1. So a pro to having Docusign is that you can create the order in which that people will receive the documents. So you always want to have you fill your portions out first. To me, that just makes sense. As far as you're preparing these documents to send to your client, your portion should already be completed. That's just the way my brain works, but that is not like a rule or a law or anything. So, but for something like with the broker signature, they have to sign it last because everything needs to be signed first before they can ethically and legally sign it. So if I want to make sure I sign my documents first, and say that Daisy is a little more tech savvy than Donald, and I know that she's going to zip through them, I'm going to make her number 2, and then I'm going to make Donald number 3. So if I know that one of the 2 of the couple or sellers, whomever, is going to get through them and is a little more organized than the other, I'm probably more apt to send it to them first. The reason for that is because number 2 will not receive these documents, will not even get an email until number 1 completes them. And number 3 will not receive an email until number 2 completes them. So if you have somebody within your mix that is a little unorganized or not likely to do, you don't want everybody to be waiting on them. So I know that's not always completely avoidable, but just so if you want to put it in order, if you don't put it in order and everybody is number 1, everybody gets it at the same time, and then it's just completed as they access it. So you don't have to do it this way. I just think it's a little more organized, especially if you need a broker signature or if you want to sign the documents first, you can ensure that that happens. That's the only caveat, is that if somebody is not paying attention or is not filling out the forms, then everybody else is stuck waiting on them. So again, it's like a chain reaction. It doesn't go to the next person until the person before them has completed their portion. So I've got my order. I've got my email down here. So here is where you're gonna please Docusign. You can put an email subject, you can put a little message in there. But in the subject, I would put like the deadline, like please, as soon as possible, deadline 7/8/21 at, say the cutoff is 11 a.m. And then I would be calling them because that's in a half an hour, but still, just whatever makes sense for you. You can put in any message in there that you want. I wouldn't spend a ton of time of explaining anything. And I know that sounds really vague, but the email that comes through is pretty straightforward for them. On the consumer side of the Docusign email, it's straightforward. It's bright blue and yellow. It's hard to miss. There's a big yellow button in the middle. It says view forms. So again, it's really user friendly. It's really easy. So once I've got my email information filled out, I'm going to hit next. Slowly but surely. And I'm actually going to go back and delete them. Don't normally do this, but just so I can put signed docs back into Command so I can show you guys, but just pretend you're not seeing this part. We're just going to delete these 2. Again, I just don't want you to have to, I want you to see the most realistic version that you can. So, dun, 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 dun. So once you go into the envelope, this is where it's going to pop up where all the signature boxes are. Since I deleted the 2 sellers, you're not going to see them, but they'll pop up on here for you. I'll go down to the exclusive right and it'll look like this. So up here in the top left, you'll have your drop down of your people and it will be color coded. So Donald Duck would probably be blue and then Daisy Duck would probably be purple or of some variation. So that's how you can tell who's supposed to sign where. So this is the listing agent signature and date. So it's there. It's going to show up automatically for you as long as you use pre-tag roles. So I'm going to hit send because I'm ready to send it and I will sign it just so you guys can see how to pull them back into. So again, on the envelope, if you click on it, you'll be able to see the order, you'll be able to see who signed it, the date and time, all that. So I'm going to go ahead and sign this just so we can pull a form back in, continue, start, sign, and I'm done. That's what the consumer side looks like too. It's just going to tell them to start, it's going to sign and have them fill out wherever they need to, then they'll be done. So, all right, I have my documents in here, my signed version, my original version, signed version, again, original version. So I'm going to go back into command and I'm in my opportunity already. If you were just logging straight back into, you can do one of two things. So I went under appointment because that's where my opportunity lies. You click on appointment and let me see if I can find it. PA, this one. Okay, so here's my opportunity. So to me, I feel like this is kind of hard to understand or look at. If you like it this way, that's great. But if this looks confusing to you, if you click all opportunities here at the top, it kind of gives you a list of your opportunities. And it's by close date, or you can change it to whatever. But up here at the top, you can just search. Now I have a lot that have the same address or the same name. So for me, this is not super easy to look at either. But for me, a list like this makes more sense than kind of the blocks. So it just depends on what your visual preference is. But just so you know, you can look at them from either way. So I'm going to click on here. I'm right back in my opportunity. I'm going to go to documents. So I'm going to go ahead and add my docs now. So I'm in my listed folder. I'm going to two ways you can do this. You can do straight from here, add a file, click on Docusign, and it's going to show you all your room documents. And you want to make sure that you are choosing the signed one, consumer guide, signed right here. Click assign. And there it is. Now, if you want to attach multiple documents at one time, you're going to go up here at attach multiple files. Again, click Docusign. And then you will just choose from the drop-down box. So we've got exclusive rights. Let me scroll down. This is the signed version. I don't have that one. That one's already attached. Anti-fraud signed. And it should take the documents away that are signed. Oh, consumer guide. Oh, well, maybe not. There must be some system glitches going on right now because you shouldn't even see the unsigned version of the document. So might need to look into that. But either way, just make sure you're choosing the signed copy. It'll say signed at the end. Make sure you're choosing the signed copy, put it in there. So what you can do is you can go down this whole list and add all of them that you need, then click attach, and it's going to put all of those docs in here for you. Once you've attached those, then you're going to click submit to MC. If you don't click submit to MC, the Market Center will not know that you submitted documents. You can put everything in here, all your documents, your commission, everything in here, but if you do not click submit, we don't know. So make sure you click submit. And if you submit it and then you add more documents, you need to hit submit again. So I'll go through and I'll put my docs in there. So rule of thumb that our Market Center goes by, which I feel like is pretty rational, is that once your property is listed, or once the property is listed, active on MLS, whatever, or if it's a pocket listing, once it's listed, you need to submit your documents within 3 days of going active. These documents right here under the listed folder. Once you go into contract, you need to submit these required documents or conditionally required documents within 3 days of signing the contract. Once you're closed, you need to submit these documents as soon as possible because that is what's keeping you from getting paid. So the purpose of submitting them in a timely fashion and in stages is to protect you. If heaven forbid something is not compliant or something is wrong, we as a leadership, as a Market Center, have time to catch it and protect you before you get to the closing table if you submit them in stages like you're supposed to. If you wait until you're closed, then you submit all your documents at commission and something is wrong, then you have to turn around and call your clients and say, hey, I didn't need this form re-signed because it's missing a signature, or it was the wrong form, or this was whatever the case may be. Heaven forbid it's something really serious that ends up in what I like to call realtor jail. So the purpose is to keep you safe, ethical, make sure you're compliant. So do it in stages. One, it'll free up your time because you won't be spending a whole hour trying to figure out how to get all of this in to get paid as soon as that commission check comes in. Two, it'll keep you compliant. And three, it'll just make life easier for everybody. So do this in stages, pretty please. Now for the buyer on the flip side, it's just under contract and closed. There's a third folder that says consultation, but our market center doesn't have anything in it. So depending on how your compliance checklists are set up, it may be 2 stages for a buyer, or it may be 3. But if you are a market center that allows you to submit them all in bulk, that's up to you. That you like all of the documents all in one PDF, you can do that, but I would do it as soon as you can, or do multiple bulk uploads. So like get these forms together once you go into contract, get those forms together once you're closed, send your settlement statement, etc. But again, make sure you're hitting submit to MC, make sure that you're submitting them as soon as possible. So once you submit your contract, whether you're on the buyer or seller side, you need to submit your offer and commission. So I'm going to go up here to the offers and commission tab. And then I'm going to add a new offer. You can name it whatever you want. If you want to do Johnson offer by last name of who's offering it, it's totally up to you. Whatever makes sense to you, whatever makes sense to your sellers. I want to show you this tool that is super cool in Command for multiple offer situations, because that's like everything right now if you're on the listing side. For the buyer side, you're only going to be putting your offer in there, so this function isn't even available on the buyer opportunity, but I just wanted to show you this just because it's cool. So create offer, I think it's super helpful as well. So we're going to put in the offer date, which is the contract date. So we'll say we signed it on the 1st. Close date is going to be the 20th. Why not? So now we're going to go to parties. Side note, the close date matters in the offers and commission tab. Projected close date or close date in the detail is not as important if it's not correct. It is important if it's correct in the offers and commissions tab, because this is where your DA is generated from. So make sure this information is accurate. So I'm going to click parties. So I have the seller side, so the seller information is already populated for me. Buyer side, you just need the name of the buyer and the name of who's being represented on their behalf, usually their agent. These names do not need to be in your contacts. This is just a free type. So I'm going to put John Doe is buying the house from Donald Duck. And representation, I'm going to put the agent's name. Again, this is just free type. You don't need to put any information other than their name. It's not required. You can if you want to, but it's not required. Terms is the next one. So you have your cash box, you have your finance amount box, and then you have your sale price. You cannot just type in the sale price, it won't let you. So you have to put your cash and finance in there. So we'll say they're offering $50,000 cash, and I made it really hard for me to do math. We're going off the fact that this is a $399,000 house. I don't know if that's really what the list price is, but this is what we're going with. So we're saying that 15 cash, 349 finance. If there's earnest money, you could put that in there. Let's say there was 5,000 in earnest money. This one you can do either the percentage or the earnest money amount. It's either or, and it will populate the other one for you. I've personally never seen an earnest amount percentage before. I've only seen like flat amount, but whichever works for you. If there is an option fee, you can fill that in, termination, seller contributing to home warranty or closing costs, you can put that information in there. This is all from earnest money down is all optional. So if it doesn't apply, you can just leave it blank. So I'm now going to go to agent analysis. So here's going to be your pros and cons. This is your professional opinion on this offer. So this is what me as an agent feels about the Johnson offer. So I'm going to put, I don't even know, like early close date, cons, not a lot of cash down. 50 grand is a lot of cash down, but either when it comes to the house, it's not really. But what do I know? So then you can put your summary in here. I'm just going to put text, blah, blah, whatever. The purpose of this, because this may seem silly to you, but the purpose of this is you can put side-by-side comparisons of your offers. So I made that offer. I'm going to go ahead and add a second offer to show you what tools you have in here. And I'm just going to zip through this real quick. It's going to be the same stuff. Tom Brady is going to buy it, and Joe Jackson is going to be his realtor. And they're gonna do straight cash because Tom Brady has all the money in the world. Yeah, so he doesn't have anything else. Pros, all cash offer. Cons, we'll just say closing earlier, we prefer. I don't know why that would be an option, but if you're, if you needed to buy a house and before you can move, whatever, that makes sense. So save. So now I have two offers in here. So what I'm going to do is hit select all, or you can choose which offers. If you have more than two, you can choose a couple, or I'm going to hit select all. And when I do that, this compare offers button is going to pop up. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to create a table of the offers side by side. So the purpose to me of this is when you have multiple offers, one, if you have a ton of them especially, it's hard to organize and look at from your client perspective. It's hard for your client to fully grasp the benefit of one offer versus the other. Their focus is going to be on the dollar sign because that's just human nature. It is what it is. So this is where you come in and you can give your professional opinion on these offers. While Tom Brady may be all cash, if you're not ready to close on the 11th versus the 20th, you're going to put yourself in a pickle. This is not the best offer for you. Say they can't move before the 20th. If they can't, or they can't close before the 20th for whatever reason, then yeah, it'd be great to have an all cash offer. We know that there's not going to be any bumps in the road, but if we can't be ready to close on the 11th, that's not the best offer for us and your client. So this is where you can bring that level-headedness and see outside the box, whereas a lot of clients may only see certain aspects of the offers. So now you can download this, do whatever you want with it, print it off, make it whatever, or you can email an offer comparison, which it will look like this. So email offer, you can send it to whomever you want. I'm just going to send it to myself. You can have it send copy to email. So that way they can look at them side by side. And I'm going to click on the eyeball and you can see what it looks like. So the email itself is going to look like this. And then they have the option to, if they click compare offer, if they click compare offers, it'll pull up that graph again, or that bar, whatever it's considered. So just so you know that that's a tool in here that's really helpful. You don't have to spend all the time copying and pasting that information into a Google spreadsheet or Excel spreadsheet. It's right here for you. So I'm going to go back to offers. So we are going to take Tom Brady's offer. We've made it work. We're able to close on the 11th. We're taking that all cash offer. So I'm going to click accept. So as you notice, the other one goes to the bottom, and you can't really do anything with it other than add stuff over here in the dots. So once you have accepted that offer, you're going to hit manage commission. And here is where you're going to submit your commission information. So first things first, you have the general information box, you have the payment breakdown. This is like the detailed payment breakdown. And then you have the payment summary. So I'm going to edit this general information because I have to confirm the contract and close date here. So edit general information. We're going to confirm the price, confirming the commission rate, confirming the commission based on those two numbers, which it auto populates for you. Total units, you have 1 unit per transaction. So down the line, I'll show you how you change that. Or if you're not claiming it as a unit, you would just put 0. Contract date is the day you signed the contract. So I think we said we signed it the 1st, and we are still going with the July 11th close date. Save changes. This close date matters. Can't stress that enough. This close date matters. That affects your earnest money turnaround, your commission turnaround. Make sure that is correct. So now I'm going to go down to the payment portion. Now these numbers are based on what is set up for my demo account for the Market Center. So it may not reflect completely the same as yours depending on what your cap is and on splits and all of that. But just so you can see it. So this is me. This is my agent payment. I have the 1 unit. My gross commission is $11,999.97. My net pay is $7,679.98. Payment date, this is not a guarantee, but assuming that everything is submitted and compliant and I turn everything in, that's the close date. So depending on how quickly your Market Center turns around those commissions, that's just disclaimer, that's not a guaranteed payment date. Agent gross commission, again, there it is. Associate royalty, that's the 6% to KW International. That cap is $3,000. So 6% of your commission is going to KW International. That's $720. Then you have your company commission, which is your split with the Market Center. Mine is set up as a 70-30. So 30% of that is $35.99.99. And then if I had any additional deductions I wanted to make, E&O, CARES, depending on how your Market Center is set up, you can add those. My cap is set at 20,000. So these will help track how far you are in your cap status. So as it fills up, this percentage will show you accurate information and so forth. If you need to add a referral, a deduction, anything extra, you just click Edit Agent Payment. You have your name, your units. This should all be automatically populated. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and click Add Item. This box pops up. You're going to choose your additional payment, whether it's bonus, concession, deduction, inside referral, and outside referral. Inside referral, I try to explain it. Inside referral is anybody within your KW Market Center walls. Doesn't matter if they are, if they're an agent at KW Capital Partners, which is my Market Center, it's an inside referral. If they're an agent at KW Consultants, and I think they're in Dublin, they are not an inside referral. If that agent does not belong within your Market Center, they are an outside referral. So inside is only inside the walls of your Market Center. Outside is anybody else in the world. So I'm going to just do an inside referral just to show you. The outside referral, you just have to add a little bit additional information. I'm going to say that Chris Weatherly we did a referral and he's going to get $500 off of this. So add. I just typed in his name. It's going to populate based on your Market Center. You add the money, save changes. Excuse me. Then you see inside referrals, you see that 500 deduction. So then I'm going to go over here to the right and look at the summary. I think the summary is a lot easier on the eyes. So I like to look at this when I'm previewing to make sure everything's correct before I submit it to the Market Center. So we've got the $11,999. You're paying $43.19 to the office. The $76.79 is paid to agents, $71.79.98 is mine, $500 is Chris. Now everything looks good. I'm going to hit submit. That's when it goes to the Market Center for review. We want you to do this under contract stage instead of close stage. It helps the Market Center see what's coming in for the month, like payment wise, and just gives us a projections of financials and stuff like that. So it's beneficial. So for all the events that you like to attend or special trainings that you like to attend and stuff like that, that cost money, we know if we're going to be able to pay for those or not. So that's why it's important to know. And then we can make sure that you get paid as well. So make sure that that stuff is in there. That way, when it's time to close, you're good to go. So if for some reason this would fall through, once you submit it, I'm not going to, because I don't want to give my assistant MCA a heart attack. There is a request for termination button. So if for some reason you've submitted your compliance, or I'm sorry, you submitted your commission and that offer falls through for whatever reason, you hit request termination, and then you could submit a new offer and commission. So you don't have to wait on the Market Center. It's automatic. You just keep going. So if you have a team split, or if you're on a team, then you will need to add another agent to your payment. So if you're on a team, your team leader or rainmaker's name should be right here. Then you do add another agent to add yourself, or if for some reason your name is here and you need to add an agent, you can just click add another agent. Then you're going to choose their name. Hitting up all the agents today. And then you're going to do the unit. How much of the unit do they get? I'm going to say it's half, whatever your split with your team leader is usually how it rolls. Then calculate commission, and it's going to automatically do that based on the 0.5 unit. So if the unit is a whole, there's only one. So if your split is 50-50, it's going to be 0.5. If it's 90-10, you're going to get, they would get 0.1, you would get 0.9, or however it works. 70-30, 0.7 or 0.3, just so it equals 1. So then I calculate commission, there it pops up, and then I hit save. Now when I do that, you're going to see some little warnings over here that something's not right. Now you need to go back into yours. I'm going to scroll down. Here's Taylor's 0.5. I need to go back into mine and adjust my unit and gross commission, because obviously that's not going to reach the right amount. So edit agent payment, change this to the same thing you did to Taylor's, calculate commission, save changes. How do I have a remaining balance? That's interesting. I've never seen that before. Did it not? There we go. It went away. I added myself an extra 0.01 cents. All right. So again, breaking it down over here, I think it's a lot easier to look at. Here's all the splits and everything. Numbers wise, it looks good. I'm going to hit submit. And that's going to go to the Market Center to review. Then you will finish submitting your documents under contract, closed. You'll submit to MC as you grab them. And then they'll be reviewed, they'll get approved, and then you'll get paid. So just a few tips for opportunities is, as there are just as many multiple offers, there are just as many offers that fall through. So if you have this opportunity, we don't want you to create multiple opportunities, create multiple rooms in Docusign. It can all fall under one. So if you need to create, say this offer fell through, we're starting all over again. So instead of creating a new opportunity, you're just going to create a new list within this opportunity. So if you see where we're in the listed folder, you see the word listed right here in this little caret to drop down. We're going to click on that, and we're going to add a new version. The original version will always say whatever the name of the folder is over here. There's no getting past that. But if you want to add a new version, you can name it whatever you want it to. So you can be, I don't know, Johnson offer or whatever whatever makes sense to you for the new version. So if you notice over here right now, those forms are attached. You can see the names right here. It doesn't say add file, they're attached. So when I click create new version, they're all gone. So now you have the ability to add new files based on this new offer. And you can still access the old documents in Command. You just click on Johnson offer and you go back to the listed side, and there they are. So they're not lost. They're forever in Command. They're still safe if you would need to go back to them for any reason, but you can access your new version now. And you do need to make a new version for each folder depending on how many new ones you need to make. So say you did the listed ones, you made a new one, but you hadn't done anything under contract or under close, you can just leave them the way they are. You don't have to create new ones unless you've already attached documents to that folder. So I'm going to go back to Docusign since this is a new offer. I want to show you. So since these are all the old forms, we're going to need to update some information. So not to confuse you, I'm switching back to Command for a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into details since this is a new offer. Nothing in here should really change. But if you are on the buyer side and you needed to change, just change the property address in here. And then you're going to go to documents. Then you're going to click sync transactions. Then you're going to click update. I believe this only works for Docusign. So if you have .loop, I don't know if it'll work. But so what that does is when you click sync transaction, any information that changed in Command is going to update in Docusign for you. So if you go into the details, you change the property address, you hit sync transaction under documents. When you go into your room in Docusign, that information is going to be updated for you. So, okay, so now we're back up to speed. We're in Docusign. We obviously need to get rid of these signed documents if they were pertinent to that client. So if you, or I'm sorry, to that property. So the anti-fraud, the consumer guide, those are generic forms that your client signed, whether they were buyer or sellers. Those don't affect anything. So those don't really need to go anywhere. But if it was like the RPD or the contract, obviously those forms aren't pertinent to that current property. So you can archive these documents or you can create a new folder. So if you wanted to archive them, you would just click on the bubble in the top right, or I'm sorry, top left, and choose archive. Or you can right click on them. You don't have to click on the bubble. You can just right click on them and choose archive. Archive. Now, you only want to archive or move the signed documents. So this is a signed, the green is signed, the blue is the original form, the PDF is the certification. That's just stating, giving the timestamp of the date and time in which that everybody signed. So leave the originals because this is where you're going to have to go back and make any update or changes for the new offer. Those original forms cannot be added again to your room. So once they're in there, the anti-fraud, you can't have two anti-frauds in there unless one's a signed version. So if you want to create a folder versus archiving them, you can go up here to actions, add folder, rejected offer or fallen through offer, you know, that didn't make it, whatever makes sense to you, create. And then you are just going to left click on the form and hold it and drag it into that blue box. And you can see the dark blue border around it. That's how you know it's going to fall in there. So I'm going to drag these in there, all the signed ones, the certification, because that, you know, whatever. Then I can minimize it and I don't have to look at it. It's clean and pretty again. Then you go back, you add all your forms, send them out, sign them, and so forth. And then you can add them back into your new version, of your documents. Again, add file, Docusign, so on and so forth. So that's a good tip for clients. You can send client updates on your opportunities. So I'm going to click client updates. You can choose to send a daily email. So I click client updates in the top right corner. This is a screen that pops up. Send daily progress. You can choose what time, send from who, the owner is the owner of the opportunity. Again, you can send to multiple people. You can add people as long as they're within your contacts of command, you can add them. So if you had like a transaction coordinator or anybody additional that would want to stay in the loop on the process of this opportunity, then you can do that. And then, so just to preview what the opportunity, so this is basically to tell your buyer or seller what's happening on your end. Like, what have we gotten accomplished? What's been going on, just to keep them in the loop. It'll send automatically. You create this list and template it in command, and then it'll send it automatically to them. So this is what it looks like. Buyer side every step. This is just an example, but this is what it looks like. So we can set that up. We can hit save changes. I'm not going to do that. Just there's only one template option right now. So I'm going to hit cancel. And then, so if I click on the checklist right here, if you notice it says 0 out of 0, if I click on this, you can add items to this checklist. But if you do it here, it will only be within this opportunity. So if you want to create the template that you can apply it to all your opportunities, you're going to click on the gear and see if it'll take me where I need to do it. Client update. Oh, they must have moved it. My apologies. So you can create them within here for now. And turn it off or on. I'll have to check with Joshua Boatman on where you create it for the template, because I know you can create it so you can pull it into each opportunity. I just honestly don't remember 100% where it's at. But so you can create that opportunity checklist, you just add it. And then again, this is where it's important with the phases and stages, because as you move this opportunity down the phase and stage, it's going to show them what is completed. Or when you complete the checklist from your tasks, it's going to show them what is completed. So just some features that are there for you to make things easier. Notes, you can add notes to this opportunity. Anything you want to note in there, you can. You just add note, type it in, whatever makes sense. If you're on a team, there is a discussion feature, which I apologize, this command account doesn't have the team function, so you can't see it, but there will be a opportunity discussion option where you can literally, it's like a chat room that you can have about this specific opportunity. Ideally, all of your communication from team member to team member should be in this just for tracking purposes. It keeps it all together. It keeps it tied to that opportunity. And that way, especially if you have like an ISA or somebody, or if you have a transaction coordinator that may not be in your office specifically, you know that that information is all together. So that is an option as well. Then you have the timeline down here. This just shows how everything is done. So if you ever wanted to track any of that information or see if you're looking for an error or anything like that, you can look in here. Back to the seller profile. So if Donald and Daisy was registered on my KW consumer app, it would show that they were registered. And then on the app, you have a buyer and seller guide, and they can actually check off each step as they complete it. So you would be able to see that here. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, so let me show you how you drag these. So as moving them down your pipeline, I'm going to click on the sale pipeline. So as I move them down the pipeline, I'm just going to click on one here. So we're going to take this opportunity, and you see the 6 dots over here. You're just going to left click on that and hold it. And you can either drag it from stage to stage, or you can drag it to a different phase. So we're in active right now. and then I'm going to move this to under contract. So I'm left clicking, holding, I'm dragging it. I'm going to let go of the mouse and it's going to go under contract. So then I'm going to click under contract and there it is. That's not it. There it is. Sorry. So again, you can move it down the pipeline as you need to, and that's how you can update it. Or if you want to go into the details section, so I clicked on the opportunity, I'm in the details section, hit the pencil, and then you can adjust it right here, opportunity phase, opportunity stage, then hit save. All right, do I have any questions on anything here? I know this was a lot of information, but this is the important one just because this is how you probably get paid. This is how you stay compliant. So any questions at all? All right, well, I will take silence as a yes, or I mean, as no questions, sorry. If you have any questions or think of anything, something doesn't make sense to you, you can reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat. Reach out to your Market Center Tech Trainer. Reach out to Joshua Boatman, our Regional Tech Director, and we would all be happy to help you. Again, if you want me to touch base with your Market Center for compliance checklists or anything like that, organization like that, or reach out to Joshua Boatman, be happy to help facilitate that to make all of your lives easier. And yeah, so we hope to see you again on the next one. Bye, everybody.